Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Lor-Quest podcast. Today I'm joined by Tom and H, and today we are discussing various things, including Tom's favourite, Frank Karsten.
Yep, my I would like to say my bro, but he barely knows me.
Your idol.
My idol. I do look up to him, and I'll explain why in a minute. But, yeah.
How are you doing today, H?
I'm doing good, thanks. A lot of exciting stuff in the past 24 hours, to be fair. I didn't actually think we were going to get any set 5 reveals for at least another week or so. And we got a load yesterday, so we're going to go through them a bit later on. So that's good. And we got quite a few, I think, as well. And some interesting additions, some new films.
Oh, yes, I love the new films that have been added. And I know it's one of your favourites as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah. So bit of backstory about Frank Karsten. He was so first of all, he actually is he's a mathematician, but he has a master's degree in mathematics, and he applied that knowledge to Magic the Gathering and the decks and stuff involved in that. So he was very, very good at Magic the Gathering. I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head what he won, but he was very good. He used to write articles and do all sorts of stuff for Channel Fireball, I think it was. But he played the deck I played, which was Affinity, in Modern, when it was actually a deck. And he released a series of videos about like how to play Affinity, blah, blah, blah. And I watched these videos, and I watched them religiously for about a week and a half. And then I went to a Modern tournament, which was about 400 players, and I finished in the top 8. And I basically commented on one of his things and said, "Hey, bud, thanks for that." Credited him with the knowledge of doing well in this event, because if it hadn't been for him explaining various lines, of which there were many, I probably wouldn't have done as well. Anyway, he actually messaged me and congratulated me, which was really good of him, because he didn't need to do that. And then a new set was released, and I just happened to message him and said, "Hey, what do you think of Soul Artifact? Do you think it's any good?" And he messaged me back and said, "I don't know. I haven't had a chance to play with it. Have you used it?" And I said, "Well, not yet, but I can do if you want." He said, "Yeah, just test it, see, and let me know how it goes." So I did that for a little bit, and then I messaged him back and said, "Hey, yeah, so I actually think it's quite good." Explained a few of the lines. We had a conversation. And that was about the sum total. I like to big it up that Frank Karsten's my mate, because he actually has to playtest cards for him, but that was about it. It went on for a few weeks. But he's a really lovely guy. He didn't have to message me congratulations. He could have just thumbed up my comment on his video, wherever it was, I can't remember. And just carried on with his life, and he actually messaged me, and that was really nice of him. So I have a lot of time for Frank Karsten, and he very recently won in Lille, I think it was it?
Not Lille, the other one, Atlanta.
Atlanta, and he did it. So that was the.
No, it might have been Lille. I think it was Lille.
Yeah, he won one anyway. One of the challenges, he won one.
It was Lille. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it.
And he's so he won Lille with Steel Song. So big congratulations to Frank for that. But that was a set 3 deck, so it's it was one of them things. But if anyone's going to be good at Lorcana, I imagine Frank will be. So I hope, for our sake, that he doesn't play too much, because I don't really want to have to play against him at any point. I would like to meet him, I just don't want to play against him. But yeah, so I was really chuffed actually to see when I saw the post about him winning, and I saw like Frank Karsten as one. I was like, awesome, that's really cool. So that was it. That's Frank Karsten. He's a great guy. He's a really lovely bloke. If he gets heavily involved in Lorcana and starts doing stuff with Lorcana, it's well worth keeping an eye on what he does, because he puts a lot of the mathematics into the game, so it'll be like all the numbers. So if he puts a deck out, it will be very well thought out. Oh yeah, so when he puts a deck list out, it's all about the numbers, and the way he plays is all about the mathematics and stuff. So very well worth keeping an eye on. I have a lot of faith in Frank. And that segue leads us into deck lists, I think.
Yes, so we've had the, obviously, Lille and Atlanta, which we've spoken about. Yeah. And now we have most recently, had the first official Lorcana Challenge using set 4.
Yes.
Which was good. That's in Chicago. Of course, none of us went.
No,
because
I
Chicago
wish.
is too far.
And cold.
Yes, I believe
Apparently
so. I
they
believe
do
the
have a
weather's pretty
massive
extreme.
Scandi community there, though.
They do. Yes, there's a lot of Scandinavians in Chicago.
There's
Oh,
like
right.
a little Stockholm somewhere in Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's because it's cold.
Yes, yeah.
Scandinavians gravitate to
They,
cold
they,
areas.
they like it, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't remember exactly the numbers. I'm pretty sure it was quite a high, almost
Uh,
max amount of people.
Yeah, I think they capped at 2,024, 48.
Something like that, yeah.
2048.
Yeah, so it's capped at
Yes,
248, and it wasn't far off the cap if I.
Yeah. Obviously, with Bochum coming up, they've announced 2 days worth of tournaments, which we spoke about last week.
Player cap
and
of 1,024 for each.
Yeah. So that separates it. Not as many people in the building at once. Well, I don't know. You can probably do these side events.
Saturday's
obviously
gonna
this
be
was
heaving. Saturday will be packed, because you're gonna have everybody that played on Friday. Not everyone, but a lot of people will come in side events on the Saturday. So Saturday's gonna be heaving busy, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We tried to get the Friday, so me and one of our other local players, Dan, managed to secure tickets, which is good. So we'll be flying out on the Friday. We almost got tickets for the Thursday, but it was the website and trying to secure flights and everything for a decent price was just here, there, and everywhere. So, but we're going on the weekend. That'll be good. But yeah, back to Chicago.
So do you know which? Because I've got 2 decks to go at, and you've got 2 to go at as well.
Yes, I believe so. You're taking the first and second decks.
Okay.
And I will then go into the last 2 of the top 4. But before we go into the deck list,
go
on. We obviously had the event. So we had in the top 4. I think we had 4th place was Ruby Amethyst by Kurt Spies. 3rd place we had Ruby Sapphire piloted. I hope I don't butcher this. Tomasz Sobkovic. And then the finals, Jordan Moore with Emerald Amethyst and Brian Courtard with Emerald Steel. So I'm happy to see 4 different decks. I'd be happy to see 3, to be fair. You just don't want to see 4 of the same.
No, I think it's really cool. Also, Brian is the Rat.
The Rat, yes.
I believe he was a Pixelborn streamer, or might still be.
Yes, so he's at least he does the streams, yeah. Yes. So or did I say obviously with Pixelborn's closure, but
so we'll
so an interesting top 4.
We'll start with first place then,
yes,
because that makes the most sense of a place to start, and it is the deck that I'm playing. As it happens, because I was playing with it against you last night as time of recording this, which will be last week when people see it, which is Emerald Steel. So I'm going to have to do the glasses thing because my eyesight apparently doesn't want to play. So you start off with the 1-drops, which are 4 Diablo 1, which is the Maleficent Spy, so it enters look at the hand, and 2 Flynn Rider, what's his name? Confident Vagabond. 2 Hidden Coves, which is I've gained a lot of love for after testing with you, honestly. I think it's actually a lot better than I thought it was. So last podcast, I agree. I didn't think it was very good, and now I've actually played more games with it. I actually think it is quite good. So, but only 2 of them, so I think that's probably the number that I'm happy with as well.
It's a good number, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think so. 4 Robin Hood, Beloved Outlaw, which is the 1-drop. So actually, there's 10 1-drops. I thought there was only 6, but there's 10. 1 Baboom, 4 copies of Bucky, Scriddle Squeak Tutor, obviously, because scrolled too far. Only 3 copies of Sudden Chill. This surprised me, but having played with Sudden Chill a lot more, without the other stuff. So I played a lot with it in set 3, sorry. Now playing with it in set 4, I actually don't think it's as good anymore. Used to sing it a lot with Ursula, the 3-drop, and really punish people, but now you don't get that opportunity as much. So actually 3 Sudden Chills. 4 copies of Ursula Deceiver, so stripping songs, also has come down a lot in power level, because obviously Brawl is not a song, so you can't take Brawl, and normally you will be able to take the removal spells, and Baboom you can't take that either, so you're now aiming at 1 jump ahead if you're going first, how far I'll go, Be prepared, stuff like that for those decks. And then obviously against blue steel, you want to take the grab your swords because you don't want them playing grab your swords. You don't mind the whole new world. You just don't want to see grab your swords aimed at your shit. So, yep. Aladdin, Brave Rescuer, which is the best artwork on the cards, definitely, because he has
very
an elephant. Good. So he's a Floodborn. He costs 3. He's a 3/3, and when he quests, you can banish an item, which is great. So on the play, it's fantastic. So it tends to take out the Fishbone Quills, which is what you're aiming at mostly. Diablo, Devoted Herald, which is obviously the key card in the deck. 4
the
of
money.
those. The money, yeah, don't I know it, good God. 4 copies of Let the Storm Rage On, which everyone should know. 4 copies of Ursula, Deceiver of All. Again, everyone should know that one. 1 copy of Along Came Zeus. 3 copies of Flynn Rider, His Own Biggest Fan. And I'm very happy to see this card, and it's a really powerful closer for games where you can just sort of, please discard your last card next turn. If you don't draw an answer, I'm just going to quest for loads. And he also kills Diablo on curve as well, because he's a 2/3 and he's evasive, so he will kill opposing Diablos on curve. Yeah, so that's really good. 3 copies of Jafar Dreadnought, 4 copies of Beast Tragic Hero. I did miss another song actually, which is Strength of a Raging Fire. It's 4 copies of that. Which obviously everyone listening should know those by now. Unless you're Adam, apparently, who doesn't know that's a song. Just for Adam especially.
Yeah.
Let the Strength of a Raging Fire is a song, Adam.
Remember that, Adam.
Helping you out there, friend. 4 copies of Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood. And finally, 2 copies of We Don't Talk About Bruno, which I actually think we should talk about. Because while you can't sing it with Ursula, I do think We Don't Talk About Bruno is a very powerful card, especially in the one matchup where it is very, very good, which is against blue-red. I found it really useful against you when testing last night.
Blue, red, and blue steel, definitely, because you've got those stronger cards that you can't get rid of in green steel, unless you've got an insane amount of board and Ursula. At least with Bruno, it's just another out for those Tamatoas, especially. Anything with kind of a big body, really.
I think it's very good at getting rid of Tamatoa. It's also quite good against Flavisham as well. Because even though you're probably putting back in, you're probably not going to discard him, but they do have to play it again. So it kind of eats up their next turn. It's kind of like the time walk effect. It's what in Magic we call a time walk effect, which is to sort of say you've had your turn 4 if you're doing badly in blue, red, or blue steel. But let's say turn 4, you play your Flavisham 4, you pop your item, you draw 2, and then I bounce it back into your hand. Well, then next turn you're either going to have to play an item and a Flavisham or do something else and the Flavisham's gone. And if I get super lucky, he might get discarded. But if I don't, you're kind of replaying your turn 4 again, essentially. And I know it's probably not on turn 4, but the idea being you're replaying a turn you've already played. And I've advanced my board. So hopefully that's good. Now, when we played, I did say I really miss Prince John in this list.
Yes.
Because you do tend to make them discard quite a lot of cards. And Prince John has Ward, which is really helpful against blue-red. Not so much against blue-steel, but definitely against blue-red, which is a weaker matchup for green-steel. I miss Prince John. I'm going to test out Prince John again. So while I'm going to take this stock list from the Rat and modify it a little bit, I think that maybe Prince John will draw you through and get you to where you need to be a little bit quicker. So I'm going to try that. But that was the Rats deck. And then another one of my favourite decks. This is another list I really like. And one that, if Pixelborn was still a thing, I would play. And this is green and purple. So we're 1-drops in this one. 10 1-drops again of Curse Merfolk, the Baby Pegasus, which is one of the cutest cards they've printed. Full stop. It's the greatest card.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just the artwork is amazing. And then 2 copies of Chernobog's Followers. They're all just hard to kill, get rid of, and the Followers draws you a card. 4 copies of Madam Mim's Snake. 4 copies of Flynn Rider. Which one's this one?
The 2-drop, I believe. Charming Rogue.
Yeah, Charming Rogue. That's the one. 4 copies of Charming Rogue. 4 copies of Deceiver Ursula. 2 copies of Merlin Crab, which I'll come back to for the reason behind that in a minute. 4 copies of Madam Mim Fox. 2 copies of Kit Cloud Kicker. That's always really hard to say. Which I think is really interesting because I thought he'd have dropped off a little bit in the usefulness, but apparently not. He makes a return, which is good. 4 copies of Diablo, Devoted Herald, but no ability to shift it. You can't shift it.
Oh yeah.
You have to hard play it, so that's a bit unusual.
I think I see why,
yeah.
but obviously, yeah, you carry on. But
there's no bookie to take advantage of it, so there's no.
Yeah.
Like the whole point is you just play him and draw cards.
Yeah, regardless, I think of without bookie discard, it's still a very strong card.
It's a really powerful card. Yeah. It's got evasive, it's a 2/2, it quests for 1, it draws you a card. You're not discarding to play it, so any card you draw is a plus. So, it's good. 2 copies of Jacques, the little mouse from Cinderella, and I don't know his tag word, and it's very blurry. So
Connoisseur of Climbing.
Connoisseur of Climbing. Well, there you go. He's a 1/4 quest for 2, but when he enters, he gives something reckless, which is quite interesting. So yeah,
I think that's quite strong, really.
Yeah,
I knew Jack was a card, and I thought, oh, it's all right, but obviously I'm not using Emerald right now. But like when you just think about something that you can play on, even if you're not playing it on the curve of turn 3, you can. It's something low cost you can play later on, which just stops something on your opponents for 1 turn.
Yeah, it can buy you.
You can hold things like Hiram and things like that. It's very strong. So
yeah, no questing for Hiram if you play that. Yeah.
Yeah, which means no items. Obviously Tamatoas.
Yeah, he can stop you questing with a Tamatoa, which might give you.
Oh, the Diablos, it's an out for that as well because Diablo has to have reckless and ram into something. So
yeah, all of that is like crazy. So you can do a lot with him. So possibly underrated card by most people, I think, but it's in this list and I think it's very good. Then we'll go to 4 copies of Merlin Goat, 4 copies of Merlin Rabbit, or everyone should know what they are. 2 copies of Tinkerbell. There are 2/3 with evasive that quest for 2. She costs 4. I don't know her name either, and it's blurry on here. So
most helpful.
Most
it would
helpful.
Be.
Wow, you're so good at this, H.
I know. I have the list up as well, so I'm just as you're scrolling through. I
thought you knew these by heart. Wow, I'm really disappointed.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
wow,
spoilers for the chat. I'm not actually that good.
Wow, I thought you knew them by heart. I thought you were showing me up knowing all these cards.
Sorry.
I'm so disappointed now. All my faith is gone. I don't know what's going
my
on.
Lorcana knowledge is quite deep, but not deep enough to know everybody's little taglines.
Yeah,
so.
I know, right? So anyway, you've got 2 copies of the most majestic card they printed. If the other Pegasus is the cutest card they printed. Pegasus, go on, what's the tagline for this one?
Cloud Racer.
Cloud Racer, which is a 5-cost 3/3 that you shift for 2. And it gives everything of yours evasive when you shift it, and it quests for 2. I don't know if I said that already. 2 copies of Ursula. Go on, you have to tell me that one as well, H. Which Ursula is that?
Oh,
it's 3 copies of that, sorry. Yeah.
Sea Witch Queen.
Sea Witch Queen, the new one from set 4.
Yes.
She's a 4/7, so she's real big. She quests for 3, and she prevents other things from singing songs, which is quite good. We got 4 copies of Friends on the Other Side, 2 copies of Mother Knows Best, and 3 of the Queen's Castle. And then I'm going to come back to why 2 copies Merlin Crab, and it's because this deck has no removal in it. And essentially Merlin Crab is removal. You can't kill
Crab Fox.
stuff. Yeah, you've got to be able to kill opposing stuff, and the Crab will let you do that. With the fox and the snake and other such things. But yeah, basically it just gives you outs to your opponent's stuff because you don't have access to the steel stuff that kills things, so strength, like the Storm Rage on, Longkin Zeus, all that sort of stuff. You don't have any of that, and you don't have any of Red's removal either, so in that case it's crabs it is. So you've got to get crabs in order to play anything that isn't steel and red. So there you go. But they're the top 2. They're the first and second. And I really like both of those lists. I'd happily play both of them. I do play one of them, so that's obviously a thing. But I'd happily play the other one as well. I think I like that. I like the purple-green list. I'm
just looking at the difference in overall price of both those decks.
Oh, go on.
And obviously with the Amethyst Emerald Bounce, it's in dollars, is about $300 for the deck. And then you have the Emerald Steel, which is 730.
Yes, there is a big
So
difference.
over double the amount.
Yeah, so the 200 of those dollars is taken up by Diablo as well.
Which is insane.
Yeah, so you're looking at a $300 deck, of which $200 is probably just your Diablos. So the rest of the deck is $100. I actually don't think it is. I actually think that I don't. Oh, maybe Ursula, maybe.
Maybe? But it says on here she's about 10 each.
Yeah, so you've got 3 10, that's 30. But literally everything else, you should, if you've played like a fair bit, you probably own most of that.
Yeah, the next most expensive card on that list is Queen's Castle, followed very shortly by Fox, just over $5 each. So
you could probably get them for less than that, though. I think.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I think you could probably pick up the shell of that deck, excluding the Ursula and the Diablo, for less than $100. I think
definitely.
I think you could probably get that. I think that's slightly inflated price, but the vast majority, as I have discovered, of all the cost of currently building my deck is in the fact that I didn't own any Diablos. Although, that being said, I have now opened 2. And I've bought 1, which I'm waiting to arrive, and I am trading for another one, so hopefully, after this weekend, I will have my playset of Diablo and all the panic will be over and I can stop worrying
Prized
about
possessions,
it. Yeah, they are. So I now have my Ursulas, my Beasts, my Robin Hoods, and my Diablos. So that's the core of any green steel deck.
So expensive.
Which, and I've been fortunate enough that friends around me have opened quite a few of them, so I've been able to hoover them up from my friends that have been going, I'm not playing this deck. Awesome, I'll have it, please. But yeah, so I've been quite fortunate that I've got all that. But yeah, so they're the 2 decks. I think the best deck won, honestly, but I would have liked to have seen the purple-green list win just because I'm sick of people whinging about my squirrel. Yeah, it's all about the Floodborn. In Green Steel, basically, the Aladdin, I think, is one of the cards that tipped it over the edge and gave you another 3-cost Floodborn.
Yeah, to have a 3-cost Floodborn that doesn't require a shift target to bring out on 3. Yeah. It's very good.
So, you can do it with Diablo on 3, so you've got 2, but Aladdin's inkable as well. So if you're up against something that doesn't have items, just put him in the ink. It's fine. If you're playing against something that does have items, you're like, Aladdin is awesome. And Diablo's always good. It's like, have an answer or don't. I incrementally just gain more and more advantage until I play a beast and gain even more advantage. So, but yeah, it's a really solid card. As proven by the fact that you don't need a shift target for it or a bookie to make it good because it's in a second place deck. So
definitely,
it's got its own bonuses there, so it must be good, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
H, what have you got for us?
So we'll go with the 3rd place deck first. Around actually. Oh wait, no, hold on. I was looking at the same price. Right. So this is a Ruby Sapphire deck. This has worked out really well, by the way. I just said you two the top 2 deck list, and I'll do 3 and 4, and we've both stumbled across decks we both play.
Oh, excellent.
So that's worked out well. So obviously, 3rd place is Ruby Sapphire Ramp, which out of the whole of the top 64, I think there was almost half or over half of them were Ruby Sapphire players. So I expected actually to see 2 in the top 4, but we didn't. We only got 1. It's still good though. So we have in no particular order, we've got 4 copies of Porpsicle, 4 copies of Develop Your Brain, and 4 copies of One Jump Ahead. It's the same in every blue-red deck, I think. Also, you've got 4 Brawl, 4 Hiram. If Hiram wasn't around, the deck's meh. So, 4 Grandma Tala, Keeper of Ancient Stories. She's a card that I sometimes see go to 3. I think if they just want to up something else, maybe sometimes people change it to How Far I'll Go, or they'll drop a How Far I'll Go for Grandma Tala. 4 Maui, the best rush card in the game, I still think. Even though the new Goofy's pretty fun, but
is that Super Goofy?
Super Goofy, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously gains the lore when challenging.
Yeah, the only problem is you actually want Maui more to kill Queen's
Oh yeah,
Castle
Maui's there
stuff.
to kill. I'm not bothered about the gaining lore.
He's there
and also
to
Maui.
kill, so.
Yeah, and he's like even after a turn after if he's killed something, and your opponent doesn't play something for you to kill on the next turn and doesn't get rid of it, it's a singer. Can sing one jump, how far I'll go. We have for Madame Medusa the boss. Things that people have been changing up between Madame Medusa and Lady Tremaine again. I still think for Medusa's better than a split. I think we had this conversation last night. I've seen a couple of lists that have run for Medusa and a Rogue Tremaine, but it's very situational, and I've always had this thing with Medusa and Tremaine. If I'm running multiples of both, or even if they're just both in the deck, I feel like 9 times out of 10, if I need one, I'll have the other. So
that's blatantly untrue though, because I've seen the way you draw cards.
Oh, well, yeah, that's very true. But I don't also run this Tremaine
whatever
Medusa thing for that reason.
You will just draw whatever you need off the top of the deck. We can discuss that later. Carry on.
Have you happened to have seen your new nickname in the group chat, by the way?
Have I had a new nickname?
You might have a new nickname. Yeah, hang on.
Awesome. I'll have a look for it in a bit.
No, this discussion is happening now. Apparently, hang on a second.
Oh, do you want me to log my live reaction? I've got my phone here.
Yeah. You can't see your own nickname though, can you?
Usually I think you get notified if it. Wait, hold on. Is this in the normal chat?
No, in the tryhards, not in the normal chat.
Yeah, that's the one I'm.
Why can I not find a message from you at all?
So if you go to information,
is it up there?
Nicknames.
Oh, bear with us, ladies and gentlemen, while we try and find this.
Technical difficulties.
Oh, your new nickname in the group chat.
I was about to say I can't even see it myself. It comes up with everyone else.
Top decking arse with a Joker.
Oh, there we go, with a Joker card. Yeah.
Yes, and that would be because Harry is in fact a top decking arse.
Not a cheater. I just top deck.
Not a cheater. No, he's just a spawny bastard. That's all.
Yes. But I think it's card game karma if my whole hand is gone. And it's not my fault that the hand is gone. If they get discarded, I'm like, well, if I top deck, be prepared.
Yeah, but doing it every time.
I know. Apart from we did have that one game where I had to play 3 Hirams in one turn just to attempt it, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, that was penance for the times that you just flipped the top card, and if you didn't draw it, you lost, and it was always there. So, and we had, I think, what could be described as the most boring game of Lorcana ever, where neither of us did anything till turn 3.
It might have been turn 4, to be fair.
Might have even been 4. Yeah, no, I think I definitely did something on turn 3, but we didn't. Yeah. It was weird. But anyway, carry on with the blue-red deck. Top decking arse.
So we've done Medusa, and we've also got 4 Tamatoa, 4 Maleficent Dragon staples. Once again, Maleficent Dragon is another one. Sometimes ranges between 3 and 4. But yeah, there's kind of nothing better when your opponent slaps down something, and then next turn, Maleficent, boom, kills it, and then you've just got this big body as well. Obviously, Medusa's always satisfying, but the Maleficent to have a 2-quester with 5 defense is always great. And the weird thing in this deck, I would say, 3 Fishbone Quill instead of 4.
I've seen these before, actually. Yeah.
Yes, I have seen the same. I think it's to make space for the Great Stone Dragon item, which they run 2 of. So, for those who don't know, it's a card in the newest set. It's a 3-cost inkable item in Sapphire. It comes into play exerted, but its ability on your turn is you tap the card to put a character card from your discard into your inkwell face down and exerted. So it's good. I still haven't tested with it, but I just don't like. I just prefer Fishbone Quill. So people have argued that like Great Stone Dragon is really good if you're playing against discard, but I don't know. Like I can see why, but like personally, I still like trying to get the momentum early on rather than you're just on the back foot. Plus, if you play that card and then they just play Aladdin, you're like, okay, well, I can't do anything next turn.
Yeah, it's a dead card to Aladdin, which is a shame.
Yeah,
but I think the reason that this is where they've sort of started to realize their sort of the power level of the game. I think as they've printed cards, because Fishbone Quill and Great Stone Dragon are, for all intents and purposes, the same card.
Yeah,
they pretty much do the same thing.
just from a
Quill,
different area. Yeah.
Fishbone Quill says you put it into play face down and ready, whereas the Stone Dragon not only comes into play exerted, so it's one turn there, then you've got to put it into your Inkwell from your graveyard, from your discard, into there, exerted as well. So that's essentially 2 turns difference between a Great Stone Dragon and a Fishbone Quill, which is very, for the same costing card, I think they've realised Fishbone Quill might be a bit too good. So I think they've realised where that was a bit too powerful, maybe. And gone, well,
we're not going to see many 3-cost items as good as Fishbone, I think.
I don't think we are either. It's the same thing with songs, right? You're not going to see many good 3-cost or less songs anymore.
Yes, I remember you saying yesterday about they're just not printing good 3. Yeah, but because there are so many good 3-costs. They may do it in a couple of other colours where singers aren't as popular, but I think especially when it comes to like steel, I don't know what songs you're going to get that aren't going to be silly that are better than Storm Rage on strength.
Yeah, they're crazy good. Like you got some crazy good songs in Steel that are 3-cost. But I think the thing that they are now testing it with is if the player sings it twice with Ursula Deceiver of All, how devastating is it?
Yes.
Because if you look at Be King Undisputed from the new set, that is pretty rough if you sing it twice. And that's
definitely.
That's 4 costs rather than 5. And I think previously probably would have been 4. Would have been 3 rather. Because it fits in that line of sort of 3-cost things that are quite good. But I don't, because in the last set, in set 4, there were 2 songs that cost 3 or less, and they were both unplayable garbage. So I think we're done now with good songs that cost 3 or less. I think you might get some mediocre ones. But the rest of them not so much. Like even How Far I'll Go is a 4-cost song, and it's okay, it's good. But
I really like it now. I'm a bit annoyed that I didn't clock on sooner that it was this good.
Yeah,
I think it's just an uninkable song, and you just with how much uninkable stuff Red Bull already has.
Yeah. Big ask.
Once again, it was just one of the things. It's like instead of just kind of sitting on the fence, just give it a go, and if it's bad, meh. But if it's good, well, there you go. And obviously,
the other one is Grandma Tala, the 4-cost Grandma Tala. People slept on that for ages. People were
I still preferred Nick Wilde for the first 3 weeks into that new set, just because he quested for more, and he had that extra buffer.
Grandma Tala sings How Far I'll Go, which is also thematic as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is some synergy with that.
Yeah,
so.
There's a lot of synergy there. Hiram Flavisham does it, and he's from the Basil the Great Mouse Detective. But that's
a singing mouse.
Yeah, singing mouse. But Basil actually, completely aside, Basil the Great Mouse Detective doesn't have any songs in it apart from one, and it's the villain song.
That they've done the world's greatest criminal mind.
Yes.
Is that what that's based off? Okay.
Yes, Rattigan's song from that. But they don't do a lot of singing in that film, which is odd for the time period. But anyway,
Disney,
sorry, go on, H. No, go on.
So I was just going to carry on with the last bits of this list. 3, How Far I'll Go. 3, Be Prepared. Makes sense. How Far I'll Go. 4, I don't know, can be really good if you're just getting all the draws you need and everything because you just keep using it, gain a resource, and then get someone in your ink. 3, Be Prepared. 3 is more stable than 4 now. I think Ursula. Some copies were even cutting it for a few days and replacing Be Prepared with extra Tremaines, but Be Prepared is the way. You don't have a lot of means of disrupting your opponent's board, especially if they can throw out a lot of small creatures. And if you're missing a couple turns without removal, you just need that Be Prepared to kind of reset the board, obviously. 3, Sisu Empowered Sibling, my favourite card of the new set. For obvious reasons. She's an 8-cost uninkable 5/4. She shifts 6. Quest for 3, and her ability is when you play this character, banish all opposing characters with 2 or less attack. This is a reason why Hidden Cove started getting played, I think.
It is.
I think it's one of the reasons, definitely. Obviously, Brawl being another one. But yeah, Sisu, she's a good board clear. And in general, actually, just a 5/4 that quests for 3. If you can shift her, even if you're only taking out one target, she's still, She works well with Lucky Dime, questing for 3.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful card. And the
Yes.
reason to run Ice Block as well.
Yes, this build is running 2 Ice Block and then also running the smaller Sisu, which wasn't in lists at the start but is now in the lists more. This is running 2 Ice Block, 2 Sisu. Obviously, Sisu's really good. Anyway, in the mirror match, very strong, because your opponent will probably have so many cards in your hand, or in their hand, so to say. It can get rid of a lot of things, the opposing Tamatoas being one. Obviously, being a shift target for Big Sisu. Quest for 2 as well. I just think she's all round pretty strong.
It's a very strong 3. It's 3 cost, right? 3 cost.
Yeah, 3 cost Inkable, 1/4 that Quest for 2 with a decent ability.
Yeah, it's a very, very powerful 3 cost card. And it's the uses for her are vast and many in red decks, in both red blue and red purple. So yeah, I think it's a very strong card. I liked it when I first saw it. I like the big one as well. Sisu's a lot of iteration. There's another one as well, isn't there? A little one that kills 1 power things, I think.
Yes, so I believe obviously it's a different form of Sisu, but she was a card that was getting quite hyped up going into the new set. When you play her, you just banish a card with 1 or less attack. She has evasive, but she's a 1/1. 3 cost uninkable 1/1, I believe.
Yeah, I think.
But she sees no play.
No,
so.
Which is a shame because I thought that card was very strong.
Yeah.
So I'm quite surprised.
But when you think of certain targets, it depends. She might see more play depending if green purple get a bit more popular. She's just an out for. She's a body rather than using a brawl on a, let's say, a Flynn Rider or a Curse Merfolk or something like that. So
yeah, big Merfolk killer. I think that early on, I think why everyone thought it was so powerful was Green Steel, which was one of the best decks in the last format, ran Curse Merfolk, Flynn Rider, and all this sort of 1 power stuff.
Yes.
And then all that sort of dropped off when 4 came in because you just wanted Diablo, basically.
Yeah.
So I think that is the reason why it's not as good. I think if the next set puts out a bunch of really strong 1 power things, then I think you've got an answer for it right there. I think it's a good card to
definitely.
keep hold of. I would, if you've got them, I'd hang on to them. I think there may come a time in the future when that card.
Yeah, it's worth. It's one of the cards I've got a set of 4 of just in case I need it. Certain cards I keep every set that I just think, well, they're going to be good in the future. Sometimes I get it wrong and other cards creep up, but for the most part, they're just like little staples. So
yeah, I think there's a chance. Like Prince Eric from set 3, I think. The 2/2 for 4 cool.
Oh yes, the red one.
Yeah, another red card that, like, when he dies, he kills something, but he quests for 2 as well.
And he's 2/2 quest for 2.
He's a nightmare to get rid of because you banish stuff when he comes in. In fact, he's a pretty solid counter to Sisu because when he gets banished, he just pops a Sisu when the Sisu comes in. So yeah, maybe a
anti-Sisu tech.
Anti-Sisu tech, maybe, but you don't know. So yeah, is that all of that blue-red deck?
The last 2 is 2 Lucky Dime. That's in every blue-red. Yeah. So a pretty standard blue-red. I'm not sure what his matchups were going into top 64. Obviously, he got to the final 4 and came 3rd overall.
I think he would have played a lot of blue-red, right? Because half the field was blue-red.
There was no way you get in there without a mirror match.
No.
Or 2. So, yeah. So that's that. So, and then we have our 4th place. I'll go through this one very quick because it is Old Faithful Ruby Amethyst Bounce. So, just something to quickly point out that I know is the pilot for the deck, Kurt Spies, actually started the event at 0 wins, 3 losses.
Okay. Well, that was
and managed to get 4th place.
That was a really good recovery. Well played.
Well done.
Yeah.
So just something out there for people that it's never completely over. If you still have a game left, don't completely think that it's done.
No.
Play out every last game you can if there is a chance and just see what can happen. Don't just wing it.
I think...
So realistically, he has like the most valuable gold Mickey Mouse promo because the man started out 0-3, and then I think you have to win every round from there.
You do.
So
you
and probably 2-0. I'm not 100% sure on that part, but you have to win the majority of them 2-0.
I would have thought were they playing? What format were they playing?
Best of two.
Best of two. So he
Best
lost
of two until top, and then it's best of
best
three.
of three. So yeah, so if he lost his first three 0-2, 0-2, 0-2, then he would
Possibly that's the only thing I don't know his actual. Oh yeah, he would have lost. Yeah, he would have lost 0-2, 0-2, 0-2. Yeah.
Yeah, so if he's done that, then he would have to then win every single game he played until the top cut.
What a streak!
Which is bloody impressive, actually.
Yeah.
Like, winning the event is impressive enough, but actually coming back from being that far down is
from that deficit.
Yeah, because you stand the chance of a lot of the people that you've played dropping at that point. So they beat you, then had defeats themselves, and then dropped.
Yeah.
So you don't get the option of drawing a game. You have to win every game you play. I'd love to see his record, actually. That'd be interesting, whether he did get away with a draw, but I don't think so. I doubt
Something to look up, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I'll go through the go on, Evie, sorry.
It's definitely worth bearing in mind when you are in the tournament and you feel like you're doing badly that, you know, it ain't over till it's over. It ain't over till the fat lady sings, or whichever phrase you want to use. You know, you've just got to keep battling it out until you have no more chances.
Yeah, don't think you're not worth it just because you've got on the like after 3 rounds you'll 0-3. That's the worst possible score. Obviously, once again, you don't know realistically the skill of the person you're playing straight away. So he could have played some really high level players. Obviously, we don't know, but don't let it knock your confidence. There's still a chance if you hit that 0-3.
Yeah. If he worked it out, he was still live. Well played, that man, and well done for not dropping at the end of round 3 and getting to the top and having.
Yeah, and just thinking I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm made up for the guy. I'm really happy that you did that. So anyway, what deck did you do it with?
So Ruby Amethyst Bounce, including the usual. So I'll read out all the normals first, and then we'll just quickly go through the new additions. So we have 2 copies of Merlin Crab, which I think every purple deck is running 2 copies of Crab now. I know the deck in second were the same. 4 copies of Merlin Goat, 4 copies of Merlin Rabbit, 4 copies of Madam Mim Fox. The same in every deck. I don't think that ever changes. Apart from, I think one deck I saw ran at 3 copies of. Or is this the one? No, this is the deck list. It runs 3 copies of Madam Mim Snake. Obviously, just needed a space for something else. We've got 4 copies of Chernobog's Followers, which obviously crept into Ruby Amethyst last set. And 4 copies of Magic Broom, which is a new 1-drop. 1 cost, inkable 1/2. Whenever you play another character, you can banish this character to draw a card. It's just another Chernobog's Followers, really.
I think it's a really solid card, actually. One that I hadn't noticed. You played it against me last night, and I had to look at it. I was like, what the hell does this do? But yeah, it's a Chernobog's Followers with the power and toughness switched.
Yeah, and you're still drawing. So.
And you still draw cards, yeah.
You've got, obviously, 3 copies of Be Prepared. 4 copies of Friends on the Other Side, 4 copies of Brawl, every red deck's doing the same, 4 copies of The Queen's Castle, 4 copies of Maui. We have 2 copies of Madame Medusa, not 3 or 4. 2's, I think, quite low actually, but I am testing this list out at the moment.
Okay.
So I think this is the list I ran with yesterday when we were doing some testing.
Oh right, okay. Yeah.
So, and I think Adam did quite well with it. I think he said after playing the first game or so, he kind of got to grips with it quite easily. But it does run 3 Bee King Undisputed, which is obviously the song Tremaine. Each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. I think it's quite fun too. You can play the Medusa and then you just sing Bee King with a rabbit or something. Always good. 3 copies of the 2-cost Kuzco Wanted Llama. He's back now. I think he went away for a little bit, but once again, it's just another purple card that draws a card. Once he's out there, once he goes, unless he's getting bounced back to your hand, it's just another draw. And then we have the newer additions to Red Purple, which I think we've said about a little bit. So obviously we have 4 copies of Sisu Emboldened Warrior, which is the 3-cost 1/4 we spoke about before. Yep. And then I think one of my favourite cards in this deck is the new Flynn Rider Frenemy. A 2-cost inkable 2/2 quest for 1. which may seem pretty rubbish, but at the start of your turn, if you have a character in play with more attack than each opposing character, you gain 3 lore. Obviously, you're chaining that with Sisu, so you'd play Flynn Rider turn 2, Sisu turn 3. Your opponent, you can force them to play more cards just to stop the kind of aggro part of this, so they have less in their hand. But for the most part, most decks drawing a lot of cards. I reckon that Flynn Rider definitely won him a lot of games. Even in the end game, especially if you're, let's say, top decking, all you have to do is top deck 2 cards. Flynn Rider and Maui is a good combo. Because not much is having higher than 6 right now. So yeah, that was that. Obviously, he came 4th. Good run, Ruby Amethyst. Ruby Amethyst is now more of a more aggressive build than what it once was. I like this because the issue I found with Ruby Amethyst set 3 was like the dime issue. Although it could beat the deck, once you see dime put on the board, you can't do anything about dime. So you just kind of got to let it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, you're very limited.
And hope you can win.
You're very limited on what you can do if your opponent plays an item. With Ruby Amethyst, you're sort of stuck. You've got to just put up with it. But you do have Queen's Castle as a counter, which is really hard for Red-Blue to deal with. They have 4 copies of Maui that will do anything about it. And now they've got Sisu, but you've got outs to Sisu, so, it's...
Yeah.
You can deal with that kind of card now.
Yeah. But overall, I'm really pleased with that kind of top 4, the diversity of decks.
I think it's great.
I still enjoy the game, but I don't like set 2 when it was just Ruby Amethyst everywhere and the occasional other deck popping up. We've got 4 in this top 4. It might not be the same come to Bochum, but it's always nice to see the first one. There's 4 different ones in there, and even though half of the top 64 were one deck, there was still quite a lot of variety in there. I think things that were like 1 Steel Song made it through, 1 Mufasa deck made it through, I think. And then the rest were just kind of a mixed bag of all the top tier stuff. So that's Chicago.
I do think that having 4 different decks in a top 4 of anything is quite strong. Like, it's very good. You don't very often see that in most card games. You'll see 3, like in the top 8, for example, you'll see 3 of one, 3 of another, and 2 of another. So there'll be 3 decks total. But this is 4 in the top 4, which is very unique. And for everybody saying that like green steel is an issue, red blue takes up 50% of a tournament. That's a lot. That's a lot of the player base playing the same deck. Like Magic the Gathering have banned cards because of that kind of turnout before. So just as a heads up, I know it's not run by the same people, and Ravensburger are probably not banning anything, despite everyone's hatred of cards.
Crying for Bucky, yes, the Bucky issue.
The Bucky's too strong. The 1/1 Squirtle with Ward is far more powerful than every other card ever printed in this set.
Not yet. I feel like it would come eventually, depending on what they choose to bring out, but not yet.
I don't think so. I think there's more than enough ways of killing that Squirtle without any issue. I think he dies to an awful lot of stuff. So if you were, quick question, if you were going to a tournament tomorrow and you had to pick one of those 4 decks, but you can't just automatically pick red blue, bear in mind, because that's the deck you have to go in your brand.
So I'll pick something else that's not red blue, if that's easier.
You can say red blue if you want, if that's genuinely your choice. Money's not an object. You can pick any of the 4 decks you want to take to an event. Which one would you take?
So this is tricky. So the least I've played is green purple. I would probably anyway, I think by default, just not take that. I don't think the matchups are as good. It's still a bit aggro, which is good against Ruby Sapphire, but I'd still probably take that last. See, green steel, I've played a lot against it, and I feel like the lines. I know like the first 1 to 4 turns off by heart, and then obviously it changes up really. But it is so strong. I've fallen to it a few times, and I know how powerful it can be. But saying that, I do still kind of like Ruby Amethyst. Issue is the dime issue I mentioned. I don't know. I don't want to pick red blue just because I'm most likely taking red blue to Bochum. So if I'm thinking next best green steel, I'd feel like maybe my chances are, yeah. But then I'm also thinking like, so green steel and ruby amethyst. Ooh.
I broke it.
I probably would just say green steel,
Green
like
steel.
realistically, because the only issue, like I'd probably pick ruby amethyst, but the dime, it's the damn dime. I
So
know,
I actually have a
obviously your
counter.
out is Aladdin.
Yeah, I have a counter to that where you said that you'd take green purple last.
Yeah.
I actually think that would be the one I'd take.
Okay.
Because 50% of the field you're expecting to be on blue red. And the best counter to blue red is that green purple deck because it's too quick. Doesn't care that you're going to play your be prepared on turn 7 or turn 5 or whatever. I'm probably going to have enough lore on the board that when I'm able to not play anything, we'll let you wipe the board, play some more evasive dudes, and quest out and win the game. And 50% of the field is blue-red. If I was going tomorrow to that event and I knew 50% was going to be blue-red, I'd take that purple-green deck because I think it's got a good chance against purple-red, and it's got a good matchup against blue-red, and its weakest matchup is blue-steel, which we didn't see any of in that top at all.
I think there might have been one.
Yeah.
But once it's one. Yeah.
That being the case, I think I'd take the green-purple.
Okay.
But I own green steel, so I would be taking green steel.
Yeah, and I would take red blue, but I don't want to be biased, and I know red blue can still fold to green steel.
Yeah.
Ruby amethyst. It's just if you like, it still feels so fun, even if you just get all the right. Well, you say about any deck if you get all the right cards, but you know what I mean. Like, you can control that board. So, but the Flynn Sisu package is good enough to be quicker than Dime. So, or I know, like I say it like Dime's the be all and end all, but obviously if they get the Dime out, they're near the end of their game anyway, and you need to be near the end. And if you're not within a couple of turns range, you're probably going to lose to a Tamato, a Bell, or an Aerial sort of thing, whatever they're going to be playing. So
yeah, I think that the game plan for every deck around a Dime deck, if you can't kill the Dime or you can't do anything, is to just get there.
He's super fast.
Yeah, just get there before them. And I'm glad there's an aggro deck. I'm really happy there's an aggro deck because they've kind of been pushing away from aggro since set 2. Like, they've got progressively worse as the time has gone on.
And it's not a horrible aggro deck where you run out of cards.
No.
Because that's another reason why I just didn't enjoy either playing against it or something, because you're top decking by turn 4.
Yeah.
It's realistically, so yeah.
You're definitely going to have cards, and their interaction with your guys is horrible, and you can remove their guys, and the top end's pretty reasonable. So yeah, I do think that probably in a room full of blue-red, I want to be the green-purple player. I think. So,
okay. Yeah, probably. I'm still green steel. I'm sure. Yeah, the mirror match is probably the most boring game ever. But
it's
with my top decks, I'm having Bucky every turn. I'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like. But that deck can win without it. I won games last.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I can beat you without it, but it's just hard.
So in terms of spoilers, there have been some really interesting ones released. We'll start off by mentioning that we have a new movie.
Yes.
So double feature just got even more interesting. We have Wreck-It Ralph. No thoughts on Wreck-It Ralph?
I was waiting for Harry's reaction.
I wasn't sure. I was waiting for the... no, I'm really excited. Wreck-It Ralph's cool. It's a great film. Is it Pixar or not?
It is. Yeah, Disney Pixar.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the first Pixar entry.
I believe so.
Which is cool, which is exciting, which means, hopefully, cross fingers, one day, Lightning McQueen will grace us.
Yes.
There's a lot of Pixar films I'd like to see, but that's just kind of a funny one. But no, Wreck-It Ralph's very exciting.
Yeah. I am excited for Wreck-It Ralph. Some of the cards that are spoiled have already given away what is hopefully future cards, but we're going to do a big in-depth thing next time. We're going to just cover a few of them this time. because we want more Wreck-It Ralph cards basically before we.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably have some more spoilers regardless ready for next week's podcast. So
yeah, definitely.
But it's really cool, and once again they're doing the same thing, or where they use their abilities somewhat relate to how they are in the films, which we'll get into that next week. But I love it when they do that. It's just
they are really
smart.
Cool. The cards that they've spoiled already you can find on the Lorcana website, so you can go and have a look at all of them. We're going to cover a couple, the legendaries that have been spoiled, and one other, which is
Kristoff.
Yes.
Kristoff. Do you want to do Kristoff?
Yeah, Kristoff is the one I want to talk about.
Yes.
We've got Kristoff, Reindeer Keeper. He's a Dreamborn and an ally. He is 9 ink, and he's got 3 strength and 7 willpower. His ability is Song of the Herd. For each song in your discard, you pay 1 ink less to play this character. He also has Bodyguard, and he quests for 3 lore.
So he's a very similar ability to Chernobog, essentially.
Oh, he's also
Amber. singing Chernobog.
Yeah, he's a singing Chernobog. He's 9 and uninkable, and he gets cheaper when you have a song in your graveyard. The 2 differences between Chernobog and Kristoff. One, he doesn't shuffle the songs back in, so you can play multiple of him. And the other one is, he's 3 power.
Yeah.
Which is rubbish.
Yep.
Because
4/7 would be nice. 4/6 maybe.
4/6.
Well, he dies to Sisu, doesn't he?
No, you can ice block him and then Sisu him, which is bad. You can ice block.
Does he get hurt by his own ice block?
He does, yeah. You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, designers.
So you can basically with the decks that already exist, which are not going to go anywhere because Red Blue's going to stay around as long as there is a fishbone quill and a Porpsicle and a Ram Flaversham. You will always have a blue X deck.
Medusa. The big scary.
The big scary is Madame Medusa.
The boss.
The boss, yes.
Yeah.
But they've printed another card that would have benefited from being bigger on the front end and slightly smaller on the back end. And they keep doing this.
Yes. I believe, are we talking about the first legendary?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So
go to the next legendary, which is which I believe
that
is
one?
That one. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so the next legendary.
Yes, very good, dear.
Is Donald Duck Pie Slinger.
Great name.
He is 5 ink.
Fantastic.
And
he's inkable.
Which is nice.
He has got 3 strength and 6 willpower. He is Floodborn, Hero, and Knight. Knigget.
Nice combinations.
He's got Shift 4. He's got abilities Humble Pie. When you play this character, if you use Shift to play him, each opponent loses 2 lore. Which is pretty insane. And Raging Duck, because Donald Duck always rages.
I love that.
While an opponent has 10 or more lore, this character gets +6 strength. Oh, and he quests for 1.
Yeah, so...
He feels like he's fairly insane if he's going to see play.
I don't think he will, though.
That's the issue. I don't think he will either. No, I don't think he's got enough strength to see play.
No, something that high that doesn't quest for 2 is really rough.
Yeah.
The 2 lore drop is nice, but once again, it's probably not going to slow down your opponent too much. What I do like about this card is it's another Donald Duck. So obviously in this set we just got a pirate captain version of Donald Duck, and now we've got this kind of warrior pie slinger kind of Donald Duck. And I wonder if this will lead, and they'll do a Donald Duck multiverse where they just all interact with each other. I think that'd be pretty cool. Just Donald Duck in all his different forms.
I mean,
okay, yeah.
I think this is probably.
It's always cool. The main characters are going to get this sort of treatment. You're going to see a lot of shifts.
So, one of the reasons I don't like this card, and I don't think it's very good, if your opponent is on, I don't know, say 11 lore, and you shift this card into play because you have to, because you don't have the ink to be able to not shift it into play to get a big creature, to get a big character in play, he negatives his own ability. He takes 2 lore off them, and then he loses 6 power as a result.
True.
Like, he counteracts himself, which is stupid. But,
No, yeah.
like, and then that leaves him open to, once again, dying to everything that can kill something that doesn't have a big enough body. Like, again, why is it 3 power? Like, World's Greatest Criminal Mind is the worst card in the game because it can't ever hit anything you need it to hit. Like, Steel Song runs it because it kills Tamatoa. That's it. There's no other
and
reason.
opposing bid Cinderellas. I think that I if I'm wrong, and I guess you got Maleficent Dragon as well, but there's like three big targets, but it doesn't hit anywhere near as much as a card like Medusa hits.
Yeah. Like Medusa for 6.
At least in the metagame, yeah.
Yeah, like it hits so much that they print because they keep forgetting to give anything an attack power. Like, that's why locations are so strong when you play them, because nothing can kill them. Everything is so small. Like, he would be perfect for killing opposing locations, but chances are he turns off his own ability when you play him and you can't kill the location with him anymore. Like, it's just like, God damn it. Just because for the same cost, don't forget, or around the same cost, Maui will always kill the location. And alright, yes, I do count my own argument that World's Greatest Criminal Mind can kill Maui, but Maui has Rush and will probably do the damage coming in, and then if they Criminal Minds it, well, he's already done what he was going to do anyway, so it doesn't matter. Whereas that, you have to shift it, so you have to have a shift target to begin with. He might turn himself off, so you might not be able to do anything with it, because he's only got 3 power then. And he's a legendary. He's just not that good. He's so disappointing. Give me a good duck, damn it.
I think it's just this theme where they just keep they throw all these legendaries out, and Medusa's still like one of the best cards in the game, and all the legendaries die to her.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay.
So I think Donald Duck is going to be really powerful in a multiplayer format.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it'd be a fun game for that, definitely.
Yeah, it's like, we do forget that there are other formats to play. Multiplayer being one of them. I don't know if anybody does play multiplayer. I know Dave, my friend in Norway, who does hopefully listen to the podcast. Hello, Dave. He does play multiplayer with his friends. A big casual player, even though he did win a Stitch. He won his own Stitch, which well done. I don't know what the meta's like in Norway, but he's a more casual player, and the multiplayer is apparently fun. So I think something we will have to look at doing between us all in the gaps is having a multiplayer.
Yeah, I think I played 2 multiplayer games in total.
Yeah, I've never played a single one, and I think we should build some links for that, just for something to do. Just have a break and remember that the game is fun, as opposed to an experience.
It's not all super competitive.
Super competitive.
Well, I just think that Lorcana lends itself really well to playing multiple different formats.
Yes.
More so than certain other games.
Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon.
Yeah.
They're both rubbish. Although, no, Yu-Gi-Oh's got a really great one with Scott Edison, but everything else is crap.
But it does lend itself, because you do have those thematic feeling cards.
Yeah.
And so you can just have a kickback and go, hey, shall we do some Disney-themed
movie-themed decks.
Movie-themed decks for a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And we can almost tell a multiverse story with our decks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to Double Feature. I really want Double Feature to take off. The thing, I want to talk about it more in another episode, but yeah, I am. Please play Double Feature, people. Make it a thing. It sounds awesome. Last card for the night, because we're getting close.
Last card for the night, yes. So, last card for tonight that we're going to leave you with is Merlin, Intellectual Visionary. Again, this card is uninkable. He is 6 ink to play. He has 3 strength, again, low strength, and 7 willpower.
Again.
Yep.
He has Floodborn, Mentor, and Sorcerer. I read something about a card earlier that does something with sorcerers. I can't remember what I read or where I read it.
Well, hopefully you'll remember. Carry on.
Shift 5. Feels... I'm going to have to look into Shift. I'm not 100% sure on it.
You shift him onto one of the lower cost ones. He's very good for that.
Yeah, but you pay the ink, right?
Yeah, you pay the ink.
You still pay ink, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's just it's a lower cost than what the card
yeah,
is.
but you're only paying 1 ink less.
Yeah, but
So-
you can quest with him if you shift him onto him. That's usually...
Yeah, all shift cards come in ready to go, as opposed to when you play a card on the first turn and it's drying. It's full. If you shift it on the next go, the shift card
So
is
it's completely
fully
dry.
active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can quest with him, but
Yeah.
it's usually 3. Or you can attack with it, one or the other. Not that they ever give anything enough power to attack with it.
His ability...
No, but his ability is the most.
This is the bit.
His ability
Yeah,
is...
I like the name of it as well.
Yeah.
His ability is Overdeveloped Brain, which is great. I love it.
None of us here suffer from that problem at all.
When you play this character, if you use Shift to play him, so he's a dedicated shifter, basically, you may search your deck for any card, put that card into your hand, and then shuffle your deck.
This card is dementedly good.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I also think it equals itself out by being in blue.
Yes, it is. Thank God it
If
isn't
it's
purple.
not, because it's not purple, it's.
Yes.
I actually think it's balanced. Even though, like, I know a lot of people be like, "It searches for any card." That's insane. It's like, it's really
blue.
good, but it's not ridiculous because you have to shift, and he's not really useful if you don't shift him.
No, he's
But his
garbage
shift
if
is
you don't shift.
very good.
Well, let's face it, Medusa's not in blue, Ursula's not in blue.
No, they're all in red. You're not bothered about what his colour for that. You're bothered about your opponent's colour for that because Medusa will kill him. And again, Ice Block Brawl will kill him.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking, what are you searching in your discard for?
What searching?
It's from your decks, so you can
No, it's from
search.
your deck.
A good option, I think there will be more because I've only, I've been less than 24 hours of thinking about this. Is Merlin searches for a song it can sing straight away.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Let it go. If you just need an out to get rid of something, it's quite an easy thing.
Here's a really depressing thought for you, H. That you can shift this Merlin onto another Merlin.
Yes.
Find and sing a whole new world in the same turn.
Ooh.
Yes.
But you have to have a good Merlin in blue or steel for that to happen.
What do we know? Are there any currently Merlin in blue or steel?
Yes. So there is one in blue, and I remember this because I think this was the first pre-release event I ever went to for set 1. Me and some friends on the bus back home, we bought like a few extra packs, and Merlin was the first foil I pulled. It's set 1. If I'm wrong, you can correct me. But
you can get on, dude. We'll record. You go Google.
So he is a 4-cost inkable card. I'm pretty sure he's a 4-cost 3/4 that quests for 1, and he has support.
Oh, well, that's garbage.
So he's not great.
That is actually terrible.
But I'm googling him right now, and I'm spot on. I was actually correct.
Were you right? What's he called?
Yeah.
Merlin what?
Merlin, self-appointed mentor.
Oh, right. Yes, I do know that card, actually. I've seen that.
Yeah, I actually have him in foil, but he's the only blue Merlin that I know of. Apart from that, every other Merlin is in purple, so this is good for Blurple decks, because I know Blurple has this kind of cult following of, we want it to be good, but it's never good enough.
No, it's got no finishers, and this could give you outs to finish.
But for example, with songs, you've got Let It Go. If you really wanted to, you could search Friends on the Other Side. There's 4 dozen eggs or something that gives you resist everything resist +2 until the start of your next turn.
The thing is, though,
that's just songs. Obviously, you can just search for other outs.
Just search for other things. Like
if you're blue, you've got a lot of ink anyway, so you know.
The only thing that I would say about him is once again the world's greatest criminal mind test kicks into play, and that is that it can't kill him.
Yeah.
It's just like, why? You know, it's why is everything so small on the front and big on the back?
For this example, I think having the smaller attack is very good because of how good his shift is. If his shift wasn't good, you'd expect him to be stronger, like the Donald Duck.
Yeah.
But for some reason,
But this card, I think, of the legend, we only had 2 legendaries. I think this one will see play. I think.
Yeah, what we should probably do, I think, at least on the podcast, is keep a mental tier list of where we.
Yeah.
So right now, Merlin is better than Donald Duck. That's the tier list.
Merlin,
and then the next legendary
S-tier.
will place him in that sort of.
Merlin currently S tier. Donald Duck A tier.
Yes, but Donald Duck will surely be pushed down as more cards get released. I'm sure of that.
I'm pretty certain he'll end up real close to the bottom of why have I opened this card.
But it really depends on what other purple and blue cards get released this set. I feel like we will probably get given a Merlin in a different color.
I hope so.
So whether or not he's going to be good, obviously.
What color would you least like to see a Merlin of that Merlin, a different Merlin in? What would be the color you would least like to see?
Red. Red straight away.
Straight away red. 100%. Do not print a 1, 2, or 3 cost.
If I'm asking Ravensburger for the sake of, I mean, I'd like it. I'm a red-blue player, but I think for Merlin to be his strongest right now, without having a full-on think into it, red, and then at second steel.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to. I don't want to see a Merlin in steel because I don't want people to whole new world me with that card.
Yeah. Also, just like general other outs as well. Merlin, grab your swords for those aggro decks, green steel, things like that.
Came Zeus.
Along came Zeus. Let it go once again. I think is still a very good. I'm glad Blue has options now that are good.
Yeah, I do. But
any card you pick any card, and if you can play it next turn, or you just have it as a buffer. Yeah. To play next turn.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're grabbing any card you want that you have left.
I think it's a very powerful card, and I think it will definitely stay up near the top of the list of cards that we'll see play. So yeah. But yes, with that anyway, I'll do the closing thing because obviously we have overrun by quite a bit today. So bonus content for the dear listener/viewer. But yes, if you've enjoyed what you've seen and you are watching us solely on YouTube, aren't we? We're only on the YouTubes with this podcast. Please subscribe. Leave a comment and a like. If you fancy sharing the video around amongst your friends, we would greatly appreciate that. We have obviously not sponsored by, because we own LazyDragonGaming.com, where pretty soon you will be able to pre-order Set 5. And we do lots of lovely bundles of mass discounting stuff for Set 5. So you'll be able to pre-order all your Set 5 bundles around the time that this goes live, won't it? It'll be next week. So we're hoping to have the costs and stuff up. So LazyDragonGaming.com, you can pre-order your Lorcana stuff, and keep an eye out for our Patreon, because I'm updating it very soon. And if you're on our Patreon, you will be able to get Lorcana and other products at cost price.
Oh.
Yes. So if you support us on Patreon, you'll be eligible to pre-order or order cases of boosters at cost price for games. So that's coming very, very soon. So that is Lazy Dragon Gaming on Patreon. Harry, you need a social media that people can follow you on. Do you use social media? I can't. I'm used to.
I do. The only thing I post Lorcana on is my Twitter, and that's even a rare occasion. It's just if I get in a little bit of a Lorcana sort of, I'll post that I'm going to Bochum, or I'll post that I did this with a deck list.
You're
going
to Bochum, so you must update your Twitter with.
True. With Bochum updates.
Where can we find you on Twitter to follow how you're doing at Bochum?
So for those that use Twitter, or X as we say, you can follow me at Harry, which is HARREH _, this needs to change by the way, _TTV. Obviously TTV. I used to be Twitch TV. Everyone used to put it if they were a streamer, and obviously I used to stream quite a lot. But yes, you can find me at Harry on Twitter. And I usually most of the stuff I put on there is me talking about Lorcana.
Before you go and before we depart, can you be convinced to record a few videos while you're in Bochum for us to put up on our YouTube to?
If I have the time and the mental capacity in between rounds, 100%.
Yeah, to do that. So we might have some content.
Yes, I can quite easily film a few bits and bobs.
That'd be epic.
I'm sure Dan wouldn't mind me following him around with a camera just to get a look at the event. And I think
Dan
things
would
like that.
love to be on camera. Dan is such a peacock. He would definitely love to be on camera. But with that, we're going to say good night, folks. So thank you very much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed yourself. And until next time, take care of yourselves and goodbye. Bye all.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.